talent to watch out for.
That's number 6. Antichrist at 5. That's a stupid place to put it.
Did you see it?
Well, I saw it, and apart from the bits where you rang me and said I wouldn't watch this if I were you, but...
Did you fast forward through those bits?
Well, only because you told me to. You said there's no point in you watching this.
No, what I said was that there were bits in it that you would just go, oh, for heaven's sake. I mean, there are bits in it that made me go, oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, people actually wrote in and say, what were the bits? And it was the bits with the scissors... And we don't need to fill in any more detail on that.
No.
But what I really liked about it was this. I thought it was an exciting movie that was, but equal parts exciting and exasperating. And there were things in it that you go, wow, that's real, because it's a horror movie. Two guys a man and a woman go out to a cabin in the woods, and with scissors, and really bad stuff happens. And there's a key moment in it in which they come across the talking fox, and the fox turns towards the camera and says, chaos reigns. And one of two things happens. You either burst out laughing and go, that's fantastic, Mr. Fox, or you go, oh, that's creepy. And that's it. That's the point at which the audience is completely divided.
Is it Christian Bale voicing the fox? Because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they all sound exactly the same. But I think you should give Antichrist a go now. I think it's a really fun. Okay.
The White Ribbon is at number 4.
Michael Haneke's best work, and a very fine piece of cinema. I mean, I'm not alone in putting this in my top 10 of the year, and many critics have put it up there. The thing about it is, it's a film in which some of Michael Haneke's movies in the past have been like being lectured and being told off. Some of them have been incredibly sadistic and cruel. I mean, Funny Games is a really, really unpleasant viewing experience, which is what it's meant to be. The thing with White Ribbon, which is essentially pre-war Village of the Damned, is it's a film which exists entirely on the level of ominous dread. Bad stuff is going to happen, but you're not quite sure what it is. And in the end, it turns out that the bad stuff that's going to happen is 2 world wars. And in fact, it's the Second World War that is the really bad. So we never get there at all. But I sat in the cinema feeling really uncomfortable. So it's in at number 4 for the most uncomfortable experience of the year in the cinema.
Anvil, the story of Anvil, is a splendid positioning there at number 3.
You loved it, right?
Oh, it was great.
And what? Okay, so you tell me.
It's about David Morrissey, the omnipresent David Morrissey, sent me an email in which he said, Mark and you, or you and Mark, need to get yourself down to see this film.
This was last year, of course.
Because I've just seen it in America, and it's going to be huge. And so it turned out.
And he saw it in 2008. So when I say last year, I mean the year, because we're now in 2010. But he saw it, and he flagged it up then.
He flagged it up, and as soon as we got a chance to have Mr. Lips on the programme to talk about it, we had him on, and it's a great film.
And it's the love story of the year, because it is a genuine love story between those two central guys. The fact that one of the guys in the band is called Rob Reiner always seemed to me to be an indication that actually they're making this up, that they were a Spinal Tap invention, that they didn't really exist. Because at the beginning, when you watch it, you think, this can't be real. This band can't. How come I've never heard of them? Because
including the camera, one of the cameramen actually thought exactly that. Got halfway through the film and just thought, no, excuse me, I think we're watching something which is being acted, but it's not.
But as a key Radio 1 DJ of some standing and some years, had you ever heard of Anvil?
Never heard of Anvil at all. So I did check them. In fact, while I was watching the DVD, you can check them up and look them up, and you can see the records that have been released. It is possible to buy them. Never played Anvil. We didn't mess around in that kind of world. That was Tommy Vance. Tommy Vance, bless him, if he was still with us, he would have known about Anvil.
But it is extraordinary that it starts off with this footage of them playing some Monsters of Rock festival with huge bands. You think, how did I not know about them? But it's wonderful. It's really heartbreaking, and it's a real love story, and I wish them all the best. I wouldn't want to listen to their music because it sounds ghastly to me, but they are just wonderful.
Number 2... Slumdog Millionaire.
Or, as you liked to say...
Slumdog Millionaire?
Millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire.
Well, that's the way he says it.
It's funny, obviously this list is based on films that were released this year, so I know obviously there's stuff that's coming up in here that, that was around the year before, but it was UK release was this year. It kind of really bothers me when critics say, oh yes, my favourite films of the year, and it's all stuff which is coming out next year. So this is stuff, Slumdog Millionaire obviously won the Oscar for Best Picture, and we really need to remember that it was never made as a mainstream film. It was a little, quirky, offbeat thing that almost ended up going straight to video. I mean, Danny Boyle talked about this quite a lot, that it almost didn't see theatrical release. And then it turned into this enormous sensation. I'm still slightly bothered by that poster which said the feel-good film of the year, or the feel-good film of the decade, I think they referred to it. When you're watching the opening scenes of the Mumbai street kids being hideously mistreated. did. You think, when am I going to start feeling good? But it was such a great piece of work. Dev Patel,
Star of The Last Airbender.
Star of The Last Airbender,
Something
yes.
to look forward to next year.
But Slumber, it really was something, wasn't it? It was an extraordinary thing. And I know we've all kind of assimilated it now, but it really, for that to have won Best Picture, that's a mark. That's the Best Picture win in years.
And when Danny Boyle sort of tells the story, which he's done many times, about how it almost just didn't happen.
No, it's wonderful.
So Slumdog Millionaire is there at number 2, and according to Mark Kermode, the number 1 movie of 2009, as we are now here in 2010, but something to enjoy and cherish, and you could probably pick up for $3.99 if you're looking in the right kind of DVD store. You announce it, take it away.
Well, again, on the basis of UK release, although it was made in, before that, because I think a lot of people saw it in 2008 at festivals, Let the Right One In. Again, this was a David Morrissey tip. There's 2 movies in the top 10 that David Morrissey got wind of first, and said
he might as well just take over the show.
He might as well, yeah, because he's better looking and he sounds nicer on the radio.
He's got nicer glasses.
He has got nicer glasses, but not for very long. But it's just a wonderful reinvention of vampire mythology, because there really hadn't been much Swedish vampire mythology up until that point. It's directed by Thomas Alfredson. It's based on a novel which takes its title from a Smith song, and it's a vampire movie that isn't about sex. It's a vampire movie that is about childhood anger and frustration and bullying on one level. And it is interesting that since I saw the film, I have gone back and read the book, and there are things in the book that are specifically taken out of the film to give the film a kind of purity of intention. I think Thomas Alfredson has done a wonderful job of bringing it to the screen. It is, for me, this year's Pan's Labyrinth, and an example, once again, of what you can do with fantasy cinema if you understand that essentially fantasy and reality occupy the same territory. It's not that one of them is to do with Ooga Booga and hobbits and all that sort of stuff. It is that there is a very thin line between fantasy and reality, and it's a wonderful story about the traumas of childhood. It was interesting that we were talking a few weeks ago about Spike Jonze saying that Where the Wild Things Are, it's not a children's movie, but it's a movie about childhood. Well, that's absolutely true of Let the Right One In. It's clearly not a children's movie, but it is a movie about childhood, which also happens to be a vampire movie. And I just think it's a sparkling, glittering gem of a movie. And if I can have one of those every year, I could keep on doing this forever.
Is that a threat or a promise?
I think it's both.